Amelia Mary Earhart was born on July 24, 1897, in Atchison, Kansas, the daughter of Samuel Edwin Stanton Earhart, 1867–1930, and Amelia Earhart, 1869–1962. In 1928, she was the first female passenger to cross the Atlantic by airplane. In 1932, she became the first woman to make a nonstop solo transatlantic flight, and was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for her achievement. Amelia was born in the home of her maternal grandfather Alfred Gideon Otis, 1827–1912, who was a former judge in Kansas, the president of Atchison Savings Bank, and a leading resident of the town. Earhart was the second child of the marriage after a stillbirth in August 1896. She was of part German descent. Alfred Otis had not initially favored the marriage and was not satisfied with Edwin's progress as a lawyer. Following family custom, Earhart was named after her two grandmothers, Amelia Josephine Hars and Mary Wells Patton. From an early age, Amelia was the dominant sibling while her sister Grace Muriel Earhart, 1899–1998, 2 years her junior, acted as a dutiful follower. Amelia was nicknamed Mile and sometimes Millie, and Grace was nicknamed Pidge, and both girls continued to answer to their childhood nicknames into adulthood. Their upbringing was unconventional. Amy Earhart did not believe in raising her children to be nice little girls. The children's maternal grandmother disapproved of the bloomers they wore, and although Amelia liked the freedom of movement they provided, she was sensitive to the fact the neighborhood's girls wore dresses. The Earhart children seemed to have a spirit of adventure and would set off daily to explore their neighborhood. As a child, Amelia Earhart spent hours playing with her sister Pidge, climbing trees, hunting rats with a rifle, and sledding downhill. Some biographers have characterized the young Amelia as a tomboy. In 1904, with the help of her uncle, Amelia Earhart constructed a homemade ramp that was fashioned after a roller coaster she had seen on a trip to St. Louis, Missouri, and secured it to the roof of the family tool shed. After her well-documented first flight, she emerged from the broken wooden box that had served as a sled with a bruised lip, a torn dress, and a sensation of exhilaration, saying, "Oh, Pidge, it's just like flying." In 1907, Edwin Earhart's job as a claims officer for the Rock Island Railroad led to a transfer to Des Moines, Iowa. The following year, at the age of 10, Amelia saw her first aircraft at the Iowa State Fair in Des Moines. The Earhart family's finances seemingly improved with the acquisition of a new house and the hiring of 2 servants, but it soon became apparent that Edwin was an alcoholic. In 1914 he was forced to retire. In 1915, after a long search, Edwin Earhart found work as a clerk at the Great Northern Railway in St. Paul, Minnesota, where Amelia entered Central High School as a junior. Edwin applied for a transfer to Springfield, Missouri, in 1915, but the current claims officer reconsidered his retirement and demanded his job back, leaving Edwin Earhart unemployed. Amy Earhart took her children to Chicago, where they lived with friends. Amelia Earhart graduated from Hyde Park High School in 1916. Throughout her childhood, she had continued to aspire to a future career. She kept a scrapbook of newspaper clippings about successful women in male-dominated careers, including film direction and production, law, advertising, management, and mechanical engineering. She began junior college at Ogontz School in Rydal, Pennsylvania, but did not complete her program. During Christmas vacation in 1917, Earhart visited her sister in Toronto, Canada, where she saw wounded soldiers returning from World War I. After receiving training as a nurse's aide from the Red Cross, Earhart began working with the Voluntary Aid Detachment at Spadina Military Hospital, where her duties included food preparation for patients with special diets and handing out prescribed medication in the hospital's dispensary. There, Earhart heard stories from military pilots and developed an interest in flying. In early November that year, she became infected and was hospitalized for pneumonia and maxillary sinusitis. She was discharged in December 1918, about 2 months later. In the early 1920s, Earhart and a young woman friend visited an airfair held in conjunction with the Canadian National Exhibition in Toronto. She said, "The interest aroused me, and Toronto led me to all the air circuses in the vicinity." On October 22, 1922, Earhart flew the Airstair to an altitude of 14,000 feet, 4,300 meters, setting a world record for female pilots. On May 16, 1923, Earhart became the 16th woman in the United States to be issued a pilot's license, number 6017, by the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale. Throughout the early 1920s, following a disastrous investment in a failed gypsum mine, Earhart's inheritance from her grandmother, which her mother was now administering, steadily diminished until it was exhausted. Consequently, with no immediate prospect of recouping her investment in flying, Earhart sold the Canary and a second Kinner and bought a yellow Kissel Gold Bug Speedster, a two-seat automobile, and named it Yellow Peril. Simultaneously, pain from Earhart's old sinus problem worsened, and in early 1924, she was hospitalized for another sinus operation, which was again unsuccessful. She tried several ventures, including setting up a photography company. On June 3, 1928, after 3 unsuccessful attempts to take off from the Jeffries Yacht Club in East Boston, the crew of Friendship made critical adjustments to reduce weight. 6 5-gallon cans of fuel were unloaded, and backup pilot Lou Gower voluntarily stepped down from the crew to lighten the aircraft further. The 4th attempt proved successful. After 67 tense seconds, Friendship lifted off the water and climbed steadily, heading north on the first leg of its transatlantic journey to Trepassey, Newfoundland. Friendship finally arrived at Trepassey on June 5, after poor weather forced Wilmer Stultz to make an unexpected landing in Halifax, Nova Scotia, the day before. Earhart later described the arrival at Trepassey as chaotic, likening it to a rodeo, with maritime cowboys in small boats aggressively vying to tow the plane, nearly entangling it in ropes and knocking crew member Slim Gordon into the water. After nearly 21 hours in the air, with low fuel and limited visibility due to persistent mist, the crew of Friendship was in urgent need of a suitable landing site. Several small boats approached the aircraft during this time, but Earhart declined to go ashore, intending to do so only if the flight continued as planned. Friendship departed Bury Port Harbor at approximately 11 a.m. on June 19, 1928, beginning the final leg of its journey to Southampton, but not without a final moment of drama. Among the spectators that morning was Sir Arthur Whitten Brown, who alongside John Alcock had completed the first nonstop transatlantic flight in 1919. Living in nearby Swansea, Whitten Brown had traveled to Bury Port with his family to congratulate Earhart and present her with a bouquet of flowers. When Earhart became famous, the press dubbed her Lady Lindy, because of her physical resemblance to fellow aviator Charles Lindbergh, and Queen of the Air. In August 1928, Earhart became the first woman to fly solo across the North American continent and back. Her piloting skills and professionalism gradually grew, and she was acknowledged by experienced professional pilots who flew with her. General Lee Wade, who flew with Earhart in 1929, said, "She was a born flyer, with a delicate touch on the stick." Earhart married her public relations manager George P. Putnam on February 7, 1931, in Putnam's mother's house in Nonk, Connecticut, in what has been described as a marriage of convenience. There was no honeymoon for the newlyweds because Earhart was involved in a 9-day cross-country tour promoting autogyros and the tour sponsor, Beechnut Chewing Gum. In late 1949, Putnam fell ill at his home in the Stovepipe Wells, California, resort in Death Valley, suffering from kidney failure. He died in Tronet, California, on January 4, 1950, aged 62. His body was cremated, and the ashes interred in the Chapel of the Pines Crematory in Los Angeles. On July 2, 1937, she disappeared over the Pacific Ocean while attempting to become the first female pilot to circumnavigate the world. Since her disappearance, Earhart has become a global cultural figure, and numerous films, documentaries, and books have recounted her life.
On July 2, 1937, Amelia Earhart took off into history, beginning her final, fateful flight.